You walk into a grocery store. You grab a cart. You roll it down aisles of food you didn't grow, packaged in materials you couldn't make, arranged by someone you'll never meet. Then you drive home. You take an elevator. You sit in a chair. And by the time your head hits the pillow, you have moved your body less than your great-grandmother moved before breakfast. Think about that. For 99.9% of human history, walking was not exercise. It was existence. Your ancestors walked 5 to 10 miles every single day. Not because they were trying to hit a step goal, because if they didn't walk, they didn't eat. They didn't find water. They didn't see the person they were supposed to meet. Walking was the operating system of being human. And then, in the blink of an evolutionary eye, we stopped. In 1960, the average American walked 2.4 miles per day. By 2020, that number had dropped to less than half a mile. That's not a decline. That's a collapse. And your body noticed. Let's start with your feet. Because feet are the reason any of this was possible. The human foot contains 26 bones, 33 joints, and over 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments. It is one of the most complex pieces of engineering in the animal kingdom. It arches, it flexes, it absorbs impact, it propels you forward with every step, and it evolved over millions of years for one surface, uneven ground. Your ancestors walked on dirt, rock, sand, and grass. Their feet bent, gripped, and adjusted with every single step. Modern humans walk on flat, hard, predictable surfaces. Concrete, tile, asphalt. Your feet hit the ground the exact same way, thousands of times a day. The small muscles that once stabilized you on uneven terrain have atrophied. The arches that once sprung back have flattened. One study from the University of the Witwatersrand in South Africa found that people who grow up walking barefoot on natural surfaces have significantly stronger foot muscles and fewer foot deformities than people who spend their lives in shoes on flat ground. But the damage doesn't stop at your feet. In 2008, anthropologist Herman Pontzer published a study that changed how we think about human energy. He spent months with the Hadza, a hunter-gatherer group in Tanzania who still live the way humans lived for most of history. He fitted them with GPS trackers and heart rate monitors. He measured everything. What he found was staggering. The average Hadza man walks between 7 and 12 miles per day. The average Hadza woman walks between 3 and 6. They do this in temperatures that regularly hit 100 degrees, carrying water, food, and children. Pontzer expected them to burn far more calories than sedentary Westerners. They didn't. Their total daily energy expenditure was almost identical to office workers in the United States. But here's what was different. The Hadza spent their calories moving. Westerners spend theirs on basal metabolic functions, inflammation, and stress responses. The Hadza body was tuned like an engine built for motion. The Western body was idling so hard it was overheating. And your brain? It was built for walking too. In 2014, researchers at Stanford University ran a simple experiment. They divided participants into two groups. One group sat indoors and completed a creative thinking test. The other group walked on a treadmill at a comfortable pace while completing the same test. The walkers produced 60% more creative responses, not 6%, 60%. The physical act of moving through space unlocked something in the brain that sitting in a chair could not access. This isn't surprising if you know how the brain evolved. For most of human history, walking and thinking were the same activity. You walked to track an animal. You walked to find water. You walked to visit the next camp and negotiate a marriage. Your brain developed to solve problems while your body was in motion. The modern office sit still, stare at a screen, solve abstract problems. Is a neurological mismatch. Your brain is screaming for movement that your job forbids. But here's what's fascinating. We didn't just stop walking. We replaced it with something worse. In 1926, Henry Ford shut down his factories for 2 weeks to retool them for a radical new idea, the 40-hour workweek. Before that, most factory workers put in 10 to 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. Ford cut it to 8 hours, 5 days. He didn't do it because he was generous. He did it because research showed productivity collapsed after 8 hours. Workers made more mistakes. They broke more equipment. Their output per hour dropped so sharply that longer hours actually cost him money. The 40-hour week was born as a ceiling. It became a floor. And then it became a religion. Today, the average knowledge worker sits for 10 to 12 hours a day. Commute. Desk. Lunch at desk. Commute. Couch. Bed. In 1950, less than 15% of jobs were classified as sedentary. By 2020, that number was over 80%. We didn't just stop walking. We built an entire economy that punishes you for moving. And your body is paying the price in ways that sound like a medical textbook, but feel like daily life. Lower back pain. 80% of adults will experience it. Knee pain. Hip replacements in people under 50 have doubled in the last 2 decades. Type 2 diabetes, heart disease, depression, anxiety. All of them correlate with sedentary time in ways that exercise alone cannot fix. Because here's the part nobody talks about. A 30-minute workout does not undo 10 hours of sitting. Your body doesn't work that way. In 2012, a study published in the journal Diabetology analyzed data from nearly 800,000 people. The researchers found that people who sat the most had a 112% higher risk of diabetes, a 147% higher risk of cardiovascular disease, and a 49% higher risk of death from any cause, even if they exercised regularly. The sitting itself was the poison. Movement, any movement, spread throughout the day, was the only antidote. But we didn't just lose our health. We lost something harder to measure. In 2019, psychologist Ian McGilchrist published a book called The Master and His Emissary. In it, he argued that the way we move through the world literally shapes how we think. Walking, especially walking in nature, activates broad, integrative thinking. It connects disparate ideas. It allows for ambiguity and pattern recognition. Sitting in a chair, staring at a screen, activates narrow, focused, analytical thinking. It breaks the world into tasks and deadlines. Both are useful, but we have eliminated one entirely. Your ancestors walked to think. You sit to think. And the quality of your thoughts has changed in ways you cannot see, because you have never experienced the alternative. Think about the last time you had a good idea. Not a small idea. A real idea. The kind that made you stop and reach for your phone to write it down. Where were you? Research consistently shows that people's best ideas come in 3 places: the shower, while exercising, and while walking. None of them involve a desk. None of them involve a screen. Your brain was not designed to innovate while sitting still. But the problem is deeper than office chairs and commuter traffic. We have redesigned our entire world to make walking unnecessary, unpleasant, and sometimes impossible. In 1956, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed the Federal Aid Highway Act, committing $25 billion to build 41,000 miles of interstate highways. It was the largest public works project in human history. It connected cities, boosted commerce, and fundamentally reshaped American life. It also made walking obsolete. Suburbs spread. Sidewalks disappeared. Distances that once took 20 minutes on foot became 5 minutes by car. But only if you had a car. The pedestrian went from the default human to an afterthought. By 2020, the average American took 4,000 steps per day. The Hadza take 19,000. That gap is not a lifestyle choice. It is a structural reality built by concrete, zoning laws, and urban planning that treats the human body as cargo to be moved, not a creature built to move itself. And here's where it gets strange again. We know all of this. Every health organization on Earth recommends 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week. Every doctor tells you to move more. Every fitness tracker buzzes to remind you to stand. And yet the numbers keep getting worse. Because knowledge is not the problem. The environment is. In 2010, public health researcher James Salas published a paper that should have changed urban planning forever. He found that the single biggest predictor of whether people walk is not motivation, not education, not income. It is walkability. If there are safe sidewalks, interesting destinations within a 15-minute walk, and streets designed for humans instead of cars, people walk. If those things don't exist, they don't. It is that simple. You cannot willpower your way out of a city built for automobiles. But let's go back further, because the day humans stopped walking wasn't in 1956. It wasn't in 1926. It was much earlier and much quieter. Around 10,000 years ago, somewhere in the Fertile Crescent, a group of humans did something no human had ever done before. They stayed in one place. They planted seeds. They waited for them to grow. Agriculture was born, and with it, the village, the town, the city. For the first time in human history, it was possible to survive without walking more than a few hundred yards a day. Food came to you. Water came to you. Everything you needed was within reach. Anthropologists call this the Neolithic Revolution. It was arguably the most important event in human history. It gave us civilization, writing, mathematics, and everything that followed. It also gave us the first sedentary humans, the first people whose daily movement dropped by 80% or more, and their bodies changed. Their bones became less dense. Their joints developed new patterns of wear. Their spines compressed under the weight of sitting instead of striding. We have been living in the shadow of that revolution ever since. Every technological advance, the plow, the wheel, the factory, the car, the computer, has been another step away from the body we evolved to have. Each one made life easier. Each one made movement less necessary. And each one extracted a cost that we are only now beginning to understand. So, what do we do with this? The honest answer is, we cannot go back. You are not going to quit your job, move to Tanzania, and walk 10 miles a day looking for tubers. The world that built your body is gone. But the body itself is still here, still waiting, still expecting something it is not getting. And small changes matter more than you think. In 2022, a study from the University of Sydney found that people who took short walking breaks every 30 minutes during an otherwise sedentary day showed significantly lower blood sugar spikes, reduced blood pressure, and improved mood compared to people who sat continuously. The walks didn't need to be long. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, just enough to remind your body that it is still alive, still capable, still built for motion. Your feet still have 26 bones. Your hips still swivel. Your spine still stacks in an S-curve that only works when you stand. All of that engineering is still inside you, dormant but intact, waiting for the signal to wake up. The day humans stopped walking, we gained civilization. We gained comfort. We gained everything that makes modern life possible. But we also lost the rhythm that built our brains, our bones, and our capacity for creative thought. We traded motion for convenience, and we are only now realizing that the bill was higher than we thought. You don't need to become a hunter-gatherer. You just need to remember that your body was not designed for the world you live in. It was designed for a world of motion, of distance, of walking until the sun went down, and doing it again the next morning. The grocery store will still be there. The elevator will still work. But your feet were made for more than tile and carpet. They were made for the ground. And the ground is still out there, waiting.